Aquanox Deep Descent is a game you've probably never heard of. Don't worry about it, it was no different for me in that aspect, and that's also the reason why I decided to give it a try. After all, a post-apocalyptic submarine adventure with co-op sounded like a great idea. I mean, I loved Subnautica and even modded the first game in order to be able to play it in multiplayer. Sadly, I would quickly find out that this is no Subnautica. But first, the Ultrawide support. The game will allow you to set any resolution you like, but won't adjust the field of view in any way, meaning that you desperately need a fix unless you want to play the game zoomed in. Luckily, modders have provided a solution allowing us to enjoy the game properly. So in short, Ultrawide is only possible if you use a fix. The game takes place in the distant future. The world was mostly destroyed and only a small amount of people have managed to survive by hiding deep underwater. Some people were placed in a deep sleep, however, hoping that they can simply wait for the planet to recover and then reawaken in a new world. Our 4 protagonists are such people. The idea of having 4 protagonists is not inherently bad, since the game supports co-op and thus allows each player to take control of one. However, the implementation is poor to say the least. Not only do you not get to select your avatar, you also never really have the feeling of controlling any specific person. During the conversations with NPCs, you will just see one of the 4 talking and that's all. The players just have to imagine they're controlling that particular character, if they want to of course. If you play alone, it's as if all 4 characters are in the same submarine, namely the one you control, since there are no AI companions, which is probably for the best. This isn't terrible, but it creates a dissonance between the player and the protagonists, which is not a good move in my opinion. In addition to that, it confuses the player at the start, since we really don't know who is talking to whom as new characters are presented. Since the nations of the world don't exist anymore, different factions have appeared in their place. The story has us doing missions for all of them while also trying to recover the memory of our 4 heroes, which was lost due to the cryosleep. One thing that impressed me was that almost every character in the game is voice acted. This was a crowdfunded game, so the budget was never too big, thus I appreciate the voice acting, which ranges from bad to good. As you first travel around the map, you will notice several things. First of all, there's barely any flora or fauna around, and what exists is just decorative for the most part. Later on in the game, you will be encountering radioactive jellyfish, sharks and rays, but those have the AI of a lemming at best. In addition to that, the maps are divided into different levels. That would not be so bad if the game did not restrict you in every conceivable way. Besides using literal rock formations to block you from taking any shortcuts, it also has some radioactive plankton, which is all over the surface of the water and will blow up your submarine instantly upon contact should you decide to take a look at what's above the water, which in other words is basically not possible. This means that if you want to swim up, you will instantly be vaporized. The devs even placed the plankton around the map as a form of environmental hazard, so it's not just above you, but sometimes in front of you, below you, depends on where they don't want you to go. All in all, you will be traveling through very tiny maps and they will be very restricted. This sucks a lot since there is no fast travel, meaning that if you are on map number 1 and your actual mission is in map number 5, you're looking at 4 loading screens before you reach your section. While the loading is never very long, it is still annoying. The whole problem becomes ever more evident in multiplayer. I was playing with one friend and it was already a pain in the ass since the game will only allow you to transition to the next map when your friend has also arrived at the correct point. So either you guys move together at all times or one has to wait. Now imagine the same situation with 4 people. I find this particularly annoying since the game encourages you to walk around the small maps and collect materials, which you will find all over the place. These materials are used to upgrade your equipment as well as for crafting ammo, health and armor repairs. It would have been nice if the materials were shared among the players. But no, instead every player only loots for themselves, and once one player has taken the material, it cannot be looted by anyone else. It's basically gone. This means that you have to spread out if you want to be efficient at gathering, but it also means that one will finish sooner and have to wait for any other players in case they're playing in co-op. And that's terrible design, because you're basically telling the players spread out and loot, and whoever finishes first, because let's just say left side of the map has less materials, the maps are not mirrored, they're not in any specific way divided to incorporate a certain amount of players. One player or more, as a matter of fact, are going to finish prematurely and then they have to wait for everyone else. It's terrible design, like I said. Now it's time for me to address the gameplay. You travel from map to map, I've already mentioned that. You collect materials and then you also do missions. The missions are the most unimaginative ones you can think of. You either have to escort a sub while fighting off attackers, which is just as boring and frustrating at times as it sounds, or you straight out just go from A to B and kill a bunch of enemies. That's it. Let's talk about the enemies, by the way. For some reason, the devs decided that it would be a good idea to hear the enemies' comms while fighting them, which results in us hearing the same 5 lines over and over again while killing wave after wave. Just imagine them saying, kill them fast, here they come, fight them hard, and this kind of bullshit constantly. They didn't bother to record a lot of lines, they didn't bother to record interesting lines. It's just like 5 or 6 lines that just keep repeating as you're killing them. It's not even different people. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's mostly one person, or maybe entirely one person. At some point it all becomes a blur, and I can't be bothered now to play through the game again to just check, but I'm pretty certain that it's just one person who recorded all these lines, so you're killing basically the same person over and over, or at least it feels that way. Oh, and speaking of repeating lines, some of the NPCs we talk to will also end every conversation topic with the same phrases. I guess the devs just didn't expect people to actually listen to all the dialogue options. It's like you pick one, the NPC says something, and then it finishes its sentence with something, and then if you pick another line, it's gonna say something different and finish with the same sentence.
Listen, I gotta get busy here. It'd be bad if we ran into trouble and we had no weapons ready because you wanted to talk so much.
Captain Okabe seems like someone with a lot on his mind.
He's a serious guy, and trust me on this, he ain't nothing compared to some of the psychos captaining ships out there.
Like who?
I ain't saying. Just hope you never run into any of them, okay? Listen, I gotta get busy here. It'd be bad if we ran into trouble and we had no weapons ready because you wanted to talk so much.
To top all of this up, we've had multiple cases where a quest would bug beyond repair and we would be forced to load an older save game, which meant that we lost a bunch of materials and the equivalent of 2 hours of story progress. That one instance almost made us give up. Last but not least, let's talk about the different subs you can pilot. Yes, this game gives you various vehicle options and all have slightly different stats. But ironically, the best option for most of the game is your starting sub. There was just no incentive for me to invest in any other ones, especially since most of them were slower and we really wanted to be done with this game as soon as possible. Right at the end, you get a submarine which is superior to everything else, and then you have about an hour and a half left, so there's hardly any time to enjoy it properly. I don't like spoilers, so I won't tell you what the ending was, but I will say that it was written just as poorly as the rest of the story. The best part was, however, that the game ends by sequel baiting. Someone seriously thought that this game would be successful enough to merit a sequel. Well, I think it's safe to say that this bad story will not be seeing a continuation, and that's probably for the best. So should you play Aquanox Deep Descent? No, you should not. With that having been said, I want to thank you for watching Game Filter. Check out my other videos and don't be afraid to leave a comment. Apparently audience engagement is something that YouTube's algorithm really likes. Naturally, you can also support me over Patreon. I hope to see you on the next one, and until then, have a great day.